Welcome students! Are you ready to embark on a new adventure? Hi, I am teacher Jasmine and I will be your teacher in this lesson. Our lesson for today is all about ecosystem symbiotic relationships. So in ecosystem, there are different kinds of symbiotic relationships and we will discuss it in this lesson. So first, we will define what is ecosystem. Ecosystem is a community of living organisms and their physical environment interacting together. So, there are different examples of ecosystem. Let's take for example fish. Fish living in the ocean. Fish interacting with the corals, with the turtles and other sea organisms in the sea. Another example is monkeys in the forest. The monkeys are interacting with the trees, banana trees, and other organisms like snakes in the forest. So, what is symbiotic relationships? As I've said earlier, there are different kinds of relationships in the ecosystem. These are called as symbiotic relationships. But first, what is symbiotic? So, sym means together and bio means life. So, when we put it together, we will form a word called symbiosis, which means living together. And it describes the close relationships that develop between species. So, there are 5 major types of symbiotic relationships, namely predation, parasitism, commensalism, competition, and mutualism. So first, we will discuss about predation. What is predation? Predation talks about relationship where one organism captures and consumes another. There are 2 types of organisms in predation. First is predator. Predator is an organism doing the capturing, whilst prey is an organism being captured. Here are the examples of predation. So, the predator here in this picture is the lion, whilst the prey is the zebra. Another is the shark eating the seal. The shark is the predator and the seal is the prey. Last one, the polar bear eating a fish. So, the polar bear is the predator while the fish is the prey. Another symbiotic relationship is called parasitism. Parasitism is a symbiotic relationship where one organism is harmed or benefited and the other is helped. So, there are 2 different types of organisms in this relationship, the host and the parasite. The host serves as a source of food and habitat to a parasite, while parasite lives on the organisms and feeds on it. There are different types of parasitisms, called endoparasites, which live inside the host body, and ectoparasites, which live outside the host body. Examples of endoparasites are tapeworms and bacteria. Tapeworms live inside the human intestine, while the bacteria can live inside your stomach or in your mouth. The examples of ectoparasites which live outside the host body are ticks and fleas. Ticks and fleas live outside the skin of dogs. So examples of parasitism is ticks. As you can see in the picture, the tick is burrowed deep into the dog's skin. Another example is mosquito. Mosquito feeds on human blood. It is an example of ectoparasite. Another example of parasitism is tapeworms that lives inside the human intestine. So tapeworms are examples of endoparasites. Another symbiotic relationship is called competition. Competition is the use of the same limited resource by two or more species in the same place at the same time. So, resource is the necessity of life. Examples are food, shelter, and habitat. So, competition may cause development of different niches or physical characteristics. So, in short, competition may cause evolution to niches or physical characteristics of an organism. Examples of competitions are, as seen in the picture, two birds fighting over their habitat, which is the water. So, next is two kangaroos fighting over a mate. And lastly, two bears fighting over food. Another example of symbiotic relationship is mutualism. So, mutualism is a symbiotic relationship where both organisms are helped in some way. So, unlike many other relationships, mutualism is where both organisms are benefited. Examples of mutualisms are in the picture. The black buck is benefited by the bird. The bird eats the parasites or the lice in the black buck, whilst the bird is feeding on the lice. Another is the clownfish and the sea anemone. The sea anemone serves as habitat for the clownfish. And lastly, the bee and the flower. The bee is benefited in such a way that the bee creates honey with the pollen of the flower, while the flower is benefited because the bee provides transportation for the seeds to sprout in any other areas. Thus, the production of the flower is increased. The last symbiotic relationship is called commensalism. Commensalism is where one organism benefits and the second is neither harmed or helped. Example of this is the shark and the remora fish. The remora fish feeds on the food scraps of the shark, whilst the shark is neither harmed or benefited from the presence of the remora fish. Another example is the bird's nest in the tree. So the tree provides habitat for the birds, while the tree is not benefited by the presence of the bird. Another example is the orchid in the tree. The orchid is clung onto the tree, whilst the tree is not benefited by the presence of the orchid. So that's all for my report.